Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first of my monthly channels. Today, I'm going to be channeling the Milkomedans, and that is an interspersed relationship between the Milky Way and Andromeda that, in scientifically, in millions and millions of years, are going to merge. And that merging is already bringing in consciousness from not only the Milky Way but Andromeda as well. And they're very plasmic in nature. They are light bodied. They have a frequency that is embedded in plasmic and conscious light. So as we bring in the Milkomedans, they bring a special awareness to us that at this time we're in an emergent energy, and the merging of both of these vectors will be very, very important to our soul growth millions of years down the line. They want us to remember that our time right now in our remembrance in this lifetime is infinitesimally small. So our remembrance will carry on for millennia going forward. Now, the Andromedan and the Milky Way energies are very much in communication with each other. There's an element of telepathy, I would say remote viewing, and they want us to know that during this merging of which we are in now, they're saying that the recent solstice was very, very powerful, and it is bringing in this arcane awareness from the cosmos. And this cosmos is embedded in all of us. The Milkomedans are saying, we sit within you. Your element of your own consciousness is us. As you evolve, we evolve. And they want us to know it's really important that as we move forward on the perceived timeline, the linear timeline, they want us to go into remembrance that we live in spherical time. They're saying past proves future as future proves past. We are in the essence of the ionic light, and they are talking about when the galaxies collide, they bring in this totality of this emergent plasmic light. Now they're saying we've had these collisions before, they will happen again. It is part and parcel of how the universe co-creates itself. It's a metamorphic shifting from the heavenly bodies to the heavenly vectors. And they're saying that Earth will have kind of absorption of her own, like she did in the past. And the Milkomedans are saying they still hold the frequency of theaton. And theaton or Thea was the heavenly body that slammed into Earth millions of years ago. There is scientific evidence to show that we have a heavenly body encapsulated within our own Earth, our Gaia Earth, and this will happen over and over again. The Milkomedans are saying this is the way it's always been. We have an acceptance that time in our remembrance of time being down here is incredibly transient and temporary. It's about your soul evolution, your toroidal field light that is speeding up. They're saying from the solstice, we're going to notice that linear time is actually speeding up because the communication, which I think is telepathic, between the Andromedan and the Milky Way is already in a conversation. They're saying it is a conversation of dimensionality, conversation of light, and the conversation of embedded consciousness into our DNA. They're talking about us moving towards 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and ninth dimensional understanding. And they're saying as we move out from the geometry of the cube, we're moving more into the philosopher's stone. They're talking about the geometry of the philosopher's stone, encapsulating the earth, the universe, but also the trinity of light, the emergence of all of these nebula that are in a chorus of divine conversation. Now, in the emergent light, what they're calling it, there is a sound. We're going to hear differently. We're going to see differently. They're saying that our consciousness, our soul, our emergent energy is a little bit ahead of our physical body. And the Milkomedans are saying that we're starting to feel slightly dislocated from ourselves, like we're kind of peering out into the unknown and then scurry back to the safety of the physical body. And they're saying this is much like one would have an out of body experience. There's going to be a lot more of that inquisitive seeking within our energy going forward. Now, the Milkomedans are saying that we've got elliptical galaxies. So it just means that they're on an elliptical format. And it's held together by what they're calling this large Magellanic cloud, like the Oort cloud. Magellanic cloud. And this Magellanic cloud has a density, a binary system that is working paradoxically against itself. And the higher energies of this Milkomedan frequency are saying we are paradoxical in nature. We are being asked to go forward in time, yet seek in the past. And we're being also instructed that in this binary sense of duality and paradox, we have to sort of start to express our duality in compassion and love and in truthfulness and in self-governance. Now, the Milkomedans are showing this light to be really, really viscous. I've talked about this before, but it's almost like a kind of jelly format. It's got firmer structure. It is formed in matter. And this formed in matter is suggesting that we are matter. And there's a kind of consensus from all of the higher energies that we as singular human being do not see the total relevance of our matter, why we matter. And the Milkomedans are saying, as we hurtle forward to this new consciousness, they're not even calling it New Earth, they're calling it a new universe, we'll start to see the relevance of our own existence in the simplicity of soul. They're saying the more complicated something is, the less it is attached to soul. They're saying whole banking systems, whole governance systems will break down under the weight of the constriction of what they're calling the lie. But they want us to understand that the word lie doesn't mean it's a manipulated lie. It's just one that has governed us for so many years. There's a depth towards our consciousness that is in a huge metamorphic expansion. It's going to take bravery. It's going to take souls that are willing to be maverick, that are willing to stand outside of the core and look within. And in looking within, we look without. There's a lot of duality that's going on. And they're saying we'll see light and sound differently. We'll hear differently. We're going to see differently. They're saying the Schumann resonance of Gaia, of the earth, is already reacting to this binary conversation that's happening between the Milky Way and Andromeda. And they want us to understand that energy is in a quantum loop, that we are they are us. We are already Andromedan, we are Syrian, we are Pleiades. All of these vectors sit within the very constriction of our own physical DNA. We have star seed imparted into the very essence of who we are on our soul filament, really, is what they're saying. They talk very fast, and I'm trying to catch up in my 3D body, but they're saying everything is going to be fast. Everything is going to be telepathic in nature. I don't call myself a channel. I like to think that it's a bit more telepathic, but please call it whatever you would like to call it. Now, these Milkomedans, they can be called Milkdromedans, but they prefer the Milkomedas. They don't want one vector having sort of more sway than the other. I'm being told from the Milkomedans, though, the Andromeda vector will effectively be bigger and swallow the Milky Way, if not in its totality of absorption, but in half absorption. So there will still be remnants of Earth and all that is embedded in her that will go forward into the Milkomedan light. Now, a thea or the theatons, so we've got new energies coming in called the theatons. Now, they are linked to Thea, who slammed into Earth. And they're saying this is just a cosmic program. Well, program isn't probably the right word, but they're saying it's the word that they have, that this runs over and over and over again. There is no history. There is only past history that creates future history. So the Theatons are saying all of their knowledge from the past, from the older universe, they want to remind us that our universe was born out of an older universe, that universe was born out of an older universe, and thus it goes on and on. This infinite causal loop, this sort of toroidal light that encompasses everything that we touch. And they're saying, the Theatons, as we go forward, our words, our actions, symbols, hermetic symbols, esoteric knowledge will all start to become more and more aligned to our frequency. So those of us that have been on a path for many, many, many years are literally just the light way forward. We hold the light for those to come forward. And they're saying there is no ego in this. There is just some that are further along the path because that is their sole purpose to do so. But also, we're going to be replaced going forward by those that hold another light. And they want us to understand that the light is just that. The light is a conglomeration, a cacophony of all of the knowledge, the Akashic record that has been held in the universe. And it is not original. And this filament of understanding, of wisdom, of hermetic connection sits in the very, very essence of our soul, every single one of us. The Milkomedans are saying that spiritually going forward, there'll be less kind of seeking guru and more aligning to community. And that kind of community essence has a much stronger vibration than the singular guru could have ever had. But that had its place. They're saying from the harmonic convergence of 1987, a lot of embedded consciousness has gone into the collective conscious. And they're talking about the super consciousness, which is what they are. And they're saying, we are super conscious. We are dimensionality itself. Your destiny sits within the very, very framework of your own existence, of your own path. You are limitless in your understanding. You are limitless within the power that you hold. You are a divine light. And unconditional love sits at the very heart, the very seat of all that is. And they just want us to understand that there are 144,000 chakra points active and working. And when we evolve, we open up more and more and more of these vortexes. They're kind of binary points that allow us to immerse ourselves in the universe, but in exploration. Astral projection, I guess, is what they're saying. But they're saying now, really, projection is just about this absorption, this plasmic light. And this plasmic light will come through art, it will come through celebration, it will come through joy, it will come through word, it will come through music, sound, comes through many mediums. And the Theatons work with the Milkomedans, and we're going to hear more and more and more about the Milkomedans going forward. This was channeled to me probably about 6 months ago, and I'm only starting to understand the way that they talk, the way that they express their knowledge to us, their wisdom. And though I feel it's incredibly, incredibly ancient, there's a vibration of newness to it. And the Milkomedans are saying that newness is because the plasmic light, the light going forward, is thicker, but it's more absorbent. And they're saying we have to understand that eons of our existences have all played out for our learning. We're in a real learning curve on the planet at the moment. So is the Earth, so is Gaia. And through these learnings, through these explorations into divinity, we will find out more about who we are. And they ask everyone listening to this, they're asking a fundamental question: who are you? And by that, I don't think they mean I am Kathy sitting here. There's a bigger question to this. Who who are you, but where do you sit within the consciousness itself? And they're saying to all of us, you are everything. You are enough. You have always been everything. And they don't want us to let governance, politics, three-dimensional programming to keep us dulled down from the spark, this cosmic spark that sits in the very, very heart of who we are. And there's so much love here. And though we would see this Milky Way on this collision course as destruction, they don't see it in a destructive format. They see it in this kind of metamorphic changing. Everything evolves, everything has to shed its skin. And they're saying the Milky Way is in a process at the moment of kind of shedding a skin. It's rotating into a new frequency, a new knowingness. And a lot of this will sit within the ancients. Now, the Milkomedans are saying the ancients knew all about them. And then over time, they're being specific here, and this has been channeled once before, and so I'm interested to find more information out about this. This all started to, our knowledge started to seep outwards in around 1910. And they're saying from that point, we were pre-war, we were pre-industrial revolution. This is when, I suppose, autonomy took over, and we lost that divine sense of our intuitive nature. And this is what we want to sort of gain back. And through this acknowledgement of the Milkomedans and this plasmic frequency, this viscous knowledge, we will be able to go back to the ancient past, but knowing that the ancient is our future. So there's much that has been recorded in stone. They're saying everything recorded in stone goes into the very, very essence of Gaia herself. So we're talking about, well, obviously, I've got Stonehenge right behind me here. So Stonehenge, Avebury, all of these wonderful temples around the world are deeply, deeply encoded with the Theaton knowledge, which was Atlantean or pre-Atlantean. And the Milkomedans are saying, they see us as these wonderful, pure beings of light that are open and receptive to deep space learnings. It's a quantum entanglement of light, knowledge, and your true existence in this world, the true fabric nature of who you are. And there's so much joy. They want us to feel joyful rather than fearful. There's nothing to fear. Expansion isn't fearful. Expansion is the code of life. And they're talking about the Theaton divine code. There's certain binary numbers that they're bringing in, which is really encoded in everything. And of course, binary is how our computer systems work, but they're talking about like a stone binary system. They're saying to me, within the next channel next month, I'll talk more about this. They're very excited to give their information forward within the sort of constraint of my three-dimensional understanding. But they want us all to know that we've come so far. There is no judgment from anyone. Dimensionally, there is no ego, there's no anger, there's no judgment. They just sit kind of within this vibration of really wanting us to be in our own dimensional wisdom. So with the Theatons as well, they're slightly different, but there's a dimensional difference to them. But theoretically, everything that is channeled all comes from source energy, as far as I'm concerned. And they're saying, dark cannot exist without light. and I've always said this, and they want to reiterate that those that say it's dark, it isn't dark. If you have light and you are not afraid of the dark and you accept the dark as part of our learnings, then the light will supersede it always. And the dark is just a word. It's a word that is hijacked somewhat, and they don't see dark and light. They just see paradoxal elements of time. And the Theatons want to sort of give us the cradle of humanity. Now, that is a crystal. It's an unusual crystal, but they're handing over the cradle of humanity to us. And that we will then take that cradle of humanity, embed it with our consciousness, and hand it forward. They are talking about the crystalline frequency on the earth at the moment. The crystalline frequency is changing. The Schumann resonance is most certainly rotating and moving at a much faster rate, with the sun element as well. And they're saying, the Helios, the sun, has brought so much abundance to us, and it will continue to bring our abundance. We can't live without the sun. But they also want to remind us that the wells, the holy wells, to Glastonbury, Wiltshire, in this country I'm talking about, these wells have just got all of the water consciousness to hold. And these wells, many of them have been capped off. And they're saying the frequency and knowledge of these wells will start to emerge. This is a time of emergent dimensionality. And so with that, I hope some of this has made sense. I'm learning as I go along as well. So I do thank you for coming along this journey with me, and I will be really happy to see you next month when we can delve more into this. Thank you.